Good morning, 8th graders. This tutorial is going to walk you through the process of writing your introduction to your Lord of the Flies essay. With your Lord of the Flies essay, there are three main parts to your introduction, and we're going to talk about all three and give you an example of what you may say for each. So, to begin with, you are going to focus on your hook, and the main purpose of your hook is to get your reader interested in the topic that you'll be talking about. I'm going to give you three different hooks to try, and you can decide which one will fit your character the best. The first kind of hook is a question hook. And when you write a question hook, you want to ask an intriguing question, an interesting question that is related to your character and how he leads on the island. The next kind of hook you can write is called an anecdote hook. And in an anecdote hook, we tell an interesting story about our character that illustrates his leadership or maybe lack thereof if you're looking at a character such as Simon or Piggy. Finally, the last kind of hook is a quotation hook. And with that kind of hook, you start with an interesting quote that is said by your character, or maybe it's a quote about your character. Maybe the narrator says something about your character. Maybe another character describes the one that you've been assigned. And hopefully that quote illustrates your character's leadership abilities. So those are the three ways that you can start your essay. Start with an interesting question related to your character and his leadership. Start by telling a story of something that happens in the book that illustrates your character's leadership. And finally, find a good quotation. I'll leave it up to you to decide which one is best, but that'll be the first sentence or two or maybe three sentences. If you're telling the anecdote hook, that one will be a little bit longer, but that'll be how you start. Then, after you've written that, you will find the context. And the context is where you explain why leadership, take out the how there, you explain why leadership is important when it comes to Lord of the Flies and trying to survive on a deserted island. In other words, you're looking at the big picture. Why is leadership important? No matter which character you're looking at, leadership is key to survival. That should be about 2 to 3 sentences where you explain that. And then finally, your last sentence of the introduction, you are going to give one sentence that evaluates your character's leadership skills and supports that evaluation with 3 reasons. For example, Jack makes an excellent leader because, or maybe Ralph is a strong leader because. And I'm going to ask you to come up with 3 supporting reasons, 3 major reasons why you think that character is a strong leader. On the other hand, you may have something that looks like this. Simon is a weak leader because. Feel free to come up with replacements for the word strong, replacements for the word weak, depending on how you'd like to describe your character. But those would be some examples of thesis statements. And again, your context will give the big picture, talking about leadership, and the very first part of your essay will be the hook, and your examples will vary widely depending on whether you choose a question hook, an anecdote hook, or a quotation hook. So in the end, your essay will have 3 parts. In class, we'll maybe write one out, maybe look at an example to see what it may look like, but I'm interested to see what you can come up with. For Wednesday, I would like to have you write that one paragraph. Go ahead and start a Lord of the Flies essay. And for Wednesday, let's have a intro paragraph. Good luck with that, and also make sure that you've caught up on your reading. And the other thing that you can look at is the vocabulary. So thanks for listening, and we'll see you again soon.